Today, I invite you to experience Sudor Taino's vibe. Its unique motivation and approach to fitness will bring out the warrior in you. Today, be grateful for the body that you are in and commit to moving it. I invite you today to feel it. Let's go.
Hello tribe, and welcome back to the Sudor Taino show. Today we'll be doing things just a little bit differently. I'm bringing you the best of the best and the tips out of my workshop called Building Bridges Like a Warrior. What will you need? You'll need a pen, a paper, and probably just a good attitude. Well, not probably. You will need a good attitude. Like a warrior, that's what I'm looking for. So my friends, building bridges like a warrior. What does that even mean? So basically what I did, I took bridge and I broke it down into its exact definitions. So I'm going to use my notes for this, which I normally don't do because I like to wing it and I like to freelance everything. But because there's people that are depending on this actual piece, I like to give them exactly what I said I was going to give them. All right, so building. The process of, or business of constructing something. Resilience. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. Inside, the inner part or the interior of a person. Defines the state of describing exactly the nature or scope or meaning. Genuine, truly what something is to be, and authentic, my favorite word. Evolution, the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So in essence, if that is the key to a bridge, building resilience inside defines genuine evolution, are you willing to do that? That's the question. I always ask the question in my seminars, what is going to be your legacy? What is your tombstone legacy? And in essence, what would you like written on your tombstone? And are you living in alignment with that purpose? So a question to ask yourself today is, are you ready to learn the tools that can actually bridge things together, that can bring real changes to your life? Instead of cycling, you're going to build different patterns that are really there for you to improve on a day-to-day basis. I always say in my classes, 1% better. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. So what are your options today? And I'm going to be fidgeting back here because that's just what I do, and I don't really sit talking to people, but I am sitting and talking to you, and I'm hoping that I'm going to reach you personally. So your options: don't build a bridge. Okay, we know what that looks like. Build a bridge on a foundation that is not so sturdy. We also know what that looks like. Or you can listen up, grab a pen and a paper, and just start making connections that are really going to work for you. So what is a warrior, right? Everyday warriorism, and I always say to everyone that I encounter, you're a warrior in general. In your own way, you do these things that are so amazing, right? You pick up the kids, you pick up the laundry, you get dinner done, you go to work, you go to the gym, you do all these different things. How do you prepare for battle, though? How does a warrior prepare for battle versus how we go at our everyday? We get out of that bed and we're clunking and clunking, and what we're doing is really not, doesn't make sense because we're dragging through life, and sometimes we're into this monotony and we don't even realize that what we're doing is warriorism, right? So what can you do to build a bridge like a warrior? Meaning, how does a warrior prepare for battle, and how do you prepare for your day? I'll tell you what they do. They physically train, right? Are you physically training? And I am going to get in your head today because it's not that it's all about a workout, but that does something to your mental and physical being that not working out is not going to do. You understand what I'm saying? So like you have to physically commit to something so that you can mentally be there as well. Nutrition piece for a warrior, sometimes they're out there and they're eating those MREs, they're eating berries and nuts, they're not ingesting all this wild fast food and greasy food that we tend to have access to. So they're treating their body well with nutrition, right? Mental aspects, they actually go through a plan of what they're going to do because they have to lay out and be ready for the attack. Isn't that correct? I wish you could talk to me so that I know that I'm getting to you. But in either case, you need a plan. So that's something that I always tell everyone in the seminar, and I always tell everyone in my classes, you need a plan. We are nothing without our plan. I mean, sometimes you do have to wing it, like I do, but I have a plan to be somewhere, and I have a plan of how much time it's going to take me, but I do like the creativity aspect of creating it as I go along. So you can play with that if you want. But select and gather an army, so that means that you also need to select and gather your army. Isn't that so? Meaning support. So yes, you can do it alone. I can do it alone. We all can do it alone, but why do it alone when it can just be so much more fruitful if we help each other out and we support each other through the process? It just makes the gains all that larger. So situation awareness. So what situations are you aware of in your life that cause you stress are the same stresses that a warrior would take into consideration when making his plan. So that's just some of the things that you can actually equivocate with a warrior in your everyday life and then preparing for battle. And I don't want to minimize what they do, because they absolutely are amazing at what they do, and they are really fighting real wars and battles. But I wanted to put that linear line in between you and a warrior so that you can start to feel that way. Basically, they armor up. They put on what they need, right? They put that vest over themselves. They put all their camouflage on, their hats, all that protective gear. Well, that's how you have to protect your home life, your spiritual life, your work life, other parts of your life that may come into play, your ambitions, your dreams, your hopes, your desires, all of those things. So commit to being consistent. That's one of the things that if you're not committed to being consistent, I don't even know how to explain to you how to even be, because there's no other way for me. I have to be consistent in the way I do things, or else it doesn't work for me. And that's something that you can gather from what we're going to talk about. So, the foundations of every battle, wow, the foundations of every battle or war is what you believe makes you happy. Ay, ay, ay. I'm getting to some people now. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. So what makes you happy? A lot of people say it's money, material things. And although you won't say that to me, and a lot of people don't say it out in public or out loud, they believe if they get $10,000, they're going to be happier. If they believe if they have a new home, they're going to be happier. If they drive this kind of car, they're going to be happier. If they have these kind of clothes and these kind of purses, they're going to be happier. Fact is that none of that stuff is what makes you happy. At the end, you are looking for more of an emotional connection and things that are tied to nothing that has to do with material things. So these natural things, they play a role, but they are not it. And I want to say this, because I know it's going to offend people, but that's what I do. No, not really. But we all share in the disillusion collectively. It's really not an individual thing. I think culturally, we're all in this position where we think that those things truly, truly matter and make a huge difference in our life. And I believe that sometimes I can drift off into that sunset as well, but I come back upstream because I realize that, spiritually, my Creator has me gifted and blessed, and it's because of that that I have what I have, and I am very humbled by it. But sometimes you get drawn into what other people have and what you may want because they have, and yada, yada, yada. So a lot of times what I do is I put together a personal decree, and that may be different from week to week or month to month. And, I kind of say, let me pick out some of these things that I've used before. I will pursue community positive interactions that empower me and others by acting as a vessel. So that's one of the things that I put in my personal decree, and sometimes I say that every day. I go back to some of these all the time. Under stress, pray, then hand it off to the man upstairs. So those are things that make me successful at that particular time and then moving forward. So some of those things you can get into your own personal decree that you kind of say every day. A lot of people call them a mantra, a prayer, a decree. For me, they kind of change based on what situations I'm in for that week or for that time. My personal mission, and I always say to people that I love to motivate people individually, inspire collectively, and then move culturally. Wow, that was like a lot for my own head. But culturally, we need to move together in order to really make impact and make a difference, and just be together so that we can understand each other moving forward. Now, it's not about what line you stand on. It's not about your political affiliation. It's not about what size you are. It's not about what social status you're in. When people are together shoulder to shoulder in my studio, none of that even matters. What matters is that you could be that person that's up 10 pounds or down 10 pounds on that certain day. You could be the one struggling today, or you could be the one that's having an awesome day and your jumps are this high. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, shoulder to shoulder, we are in the struggle, and the struggle is real. So, build a bridge from the inside out. These are going to be some random pointers that I say all the time, and I want you to see if they apply and just kind of work your way through them. So, bridge failure with recovery. Why? Because if you look at a failure, like if it's such a major faux pas and such a major mess up, you're going to dwindle up and curl up in a ball and just want to die or stay depressed or eat your way through it, all of that stuff. But if you bridge it with your recovery and you really focus on the recovery time and shortening that every time, so you could have been depressed for, let's say, 2 months. Now, the next time you're depressed, it lasts 1 month. And then the gap closes in, closes in, closes in. So that's kind of what I want you to bridge it. So that's one bridge that can help you, assess where you're at and just try to do your very, very best to make that bridge a new pattern and not go back to your old cycle. Bridge sandbagging to your best. Why? When you catch yourself, right? So it could be doing, I put it with doing an exercise, or you could be writing something, or you could be painting something, or you could be making the bed. If you catch yourself sandbagging, check yourself. Build that bridge really quickly to, no, I'm going to do my best. So sandbagging should trigger your best. That is another bridge that I like to bring up in many seminars, because I can see people sandbagging their way into the room. And when they sandbag their way into the room, it's almost like, are you serious? You're showing up like that, and you're going to sit like that, and you're going to act like that? I need to help them build that bridge. So that's another one. Build that bridge, the old to the new. You heard me talk about those sandbagging patterns, or those old patterns and behaviors. Something happened at work, you go home and you eat a roll of Oreos. Something happened with your child, and you go home and eat Tostitos with salsa. Something happened at the gas station, and you blow up and you eat 2 chuletas before you even get to make the rest of dinner. So we'll say this, that maybe that's something that you feel like worked for you in the past when you were in it. But after it, I am pretty sure that your mind went to, you fat pig, I can't believe you ate that, you're nasty. Oh, I'm just using examples of what I have learned to undo in my head, because I used to talk to myself in those kind of ways. And you're not crazy, and yeah, I'm putting myself out there, and everybody has this going on. There is nobody that's perfectly stable mind, body, and all the time, and it's like every single day they're perfect. I mean, if you find that person, you tell them to call me, because I need to sit down with them, like seriously, and have a major talk, because I'm doing things all wrong. So again, back to the humanistic factor of cycles and patterns and negative self-talk and things like that. It's changing those specific things and just bridging it with a positive instead of letting it fester as a negative. Bridge your plans. Why? Because when you have scattered things going on and you don't bridge them together and include different facets of your life, things just tend to fall apart because they're on their own. And I always say that I connect people, I connect my plans, because I want to involve different people. I want to have different experiences. And it's something that bridge is actually going to bring more positivity and allow me to inspire more people along the way. Same with you. One other one is bridge from the heart. So a lot of people bridge surfacely. And when I say that, I mean that they do things on the surface, or they do things to say, I did this, or they do things to brag to others, or to have more fundraiser aspects than the other person, or to do this or to do that. So I'd like to say that if you do it with love, and it's an expression of God's love, and it's an expression of humanity, and you're extending that. And if you do share it, let it be you're sharing it because you want to inspire others to do the same thing, or you're calling them to do the same thing, and not because you are bragging about it or you want some sort of credit for it. Next one would be bridge from negative to positive all the time. And I always like to say, I learned in one of the seminars, and I think it was Todd Durkin that was at the helm of this, and he said there was an elimination tower, but he made it an opportunity tower. So if we look at it as far as elimination is not elimination, it's more about opportunity. You have the opportunity to make things different. You have the opportunity to achieve here instead of the opportunity to be eliminated. So my advice to you is to kind of flip the way that works in your head and just go for it. Bridge that motivates and re-energizes you. Why? Why do you have to re-energize? Why do you have to stay motivated? Why? Because if not, you're going to be that person walking in the room that's dragging, that person that didn't have the desire to comb their hair or match their clothing before they went into work. And not that that means something, but it just goes to say that you didn't take the time to do these things. And maybe that is where you are in your life. And I'm not saying you have to be a fashionista, because that is so not me. I mean, it's very easy for me to get dressed. I just wear black, and that's the way it goes. So I'm not looking to be an icon for fashion, but I know that I have to try my very best to represent how I want people to view me and how I want to come across. It's about how I show up. So basically, if you're not motivated and you're not re-energized in some sort of way, if that's not put into that plan, then that's going to be degraded. And by the time you look at it, you have stopped getting massages, you have stopped taking time to stretch, you have stopped, plucking your eyebrows, you have stopped buying yourself new sneakers, or you have stopped doing these things, your nails, your hair, whatever it is that you do that re-energizes you, massage, read, whatever, you have stopped doing those things. So, bridging inspiration and just being. So I can choose right now to just be, and just be in my little worlds. And even though it's a good little world, because I've humbled myself, I'm spiritually connected, and I can come to better places by self-educating myself and self-evolvement. But I believe my purpose is bigger than that. So my purpose is to inspire as many people as I can. And if that is true, then I have a duty to do that. And that is what my calling is to do. So we have to understand that sometimes you may not have to go to the gym, or you may not have to dress up for yourself, but it's really to motivate someone else. So I feel like there's always somebody watching, and not necessarily negatively. I mean, yes, we do have haters, because that is the way of the world. But for the most part, there's someone looking at you saying, how do they keep it all together? And how can I do that myself? Well, these are some of the tools that you can look at that person and let that person inspire you. And then maybe one day you can turn around and inspire someone else. So it's not about just being, it's about the collective effort of inspiration and motivation and moving us culturally. So build a bridge with others, and why? Why should you build a bridge with others? Why should I do that? Why should I continue to build those bridges? And that's because I don't know it all. I learn from other people every single day. I learn from their trials, their tribulations, their triumphs. I learn that I want to do that or I don't want to do that. I am just enamored by the way they are, and just so motivated by their lives and what they want for this world and what they want for themselves. Just gives me that creative movement inside of me to say, okay, what is it that you're going to do? How are you going to participate? How are you going to help? How are you going to motivate? How are you going to inspire? And that is my hope for you, is that I can plant the seed that that's something that you can do too. All of us are so gifted authentically that you have it inside of you, so why not use it? The other thing is bridge from challenge to challenge. So challenge to challenge, here we go, here we go. One challenge, you had to do 10 burpees that week. This challenge, you had to make sure that you didn't forget your kid at school this week because you had a lot going on. You had to make sure that you answered all your emails. That's a challenge that you bridged together with other challenges. And if you go from challenge to challenge, not only will you not be bored, but you will always be trying to present yourself as your best self. So those are just little tools that I like to use. And building new chapters is where it's at. I mean, you are your own author. So you can either keep rereading the same chapters into the same cycles, or you can choose to author a new chapter. And that is going to be completely up to you. And again, when people say there's people around you who care if you cycle, there's people who care. But in essence, if you are the author of that chapter and you don't care, how is it that you can just bring yourself to change? It's called a bridge. So bridging to a higher power is where my life changed, and that is because if you live outside of yourself thinking there's more to this world than just me and what my little world consists of, and that there's a greater power in all of us, and that there's a greater power leading us and loving us and showing us that there's a moral code, showing us that we should be good humans and that we should continue to express our love through community and move together and move forward. So in essence, if we continue to do these things as warriors for ourselves and, for a community that moves forward in strength, love, and power and peace, there is really so many things that we can get done together. And I love when I hear people talk about doing that, and there's not hate at the bottom of their comments, or they can be so jaded by what's going on in society. If the root is love and a higher power, then there's room for none of that hate. So with that being said, if you're going to be a warrior, you're going to win some battles, you're going to lose some battles. But at the end of the day, it's really about winning the war. And the war is really about, what are you doing on this earth? What is your tombstone legacy? Wrapping things up, if you are building resilience inside and it defines your genuine evolution, are you evolving? Have you evolved from last year? What have you done differently? What can you do differently? So these are all questions that when you learn to build those solid bridges, you will evolve undoubtedly. So with that being said, I'd love to take your questions right underneath my YouTube channel, and you can always reach me. And remember that if you build that bridge, you will evolve. And that is my hope for you. That is my prayer for you. And I always love to end by saying namaste. So namaste to all of you, and hope to see you back soon.